children, I'm Mushkeen, your English teacher, and I welcome all of you to this session. Life is an oyster, but you cannot crack it on a mattress. Children, I would like to repeat it. Life is an oyster, but you cannot crack it on a mattress. Try to understand this quote. We understand, 1, life has a lot to give, and 2, we need to strive for that. So, in other way, we understand that we are not self-sufficient. We need others. Others so that we get what we need. For example, I go back home and I am tired, I am exhausted. What will I do? I would probably ask my mother for a cup of hot tea or maybe a glass of water. Now let's talk about yourself. You need a phone. What will you do? You will seek the permission from your parents and definitely you will ask for the money. Or you need notes to prepare. So what will you do? You will either text, mail, or simply talk it out. Ask your accomplices for the same. So children, basically when we need something, what do? We talk about it or we ask about it. Now, let's talk about what we are going to discuss today. We are going to discuss something very, very important that makes us keep going on and on and on. And children, what is that? That is faith. Now, what is faith? Faith is the belief in the supernatural being that controls everybody's destiny. And it's also said that faith can move mountains. Children, when we have this faith, when our faith is strong, definitely we get what we ask for. But yes, we need to be a bit patient. Now, the topic under discussion is our chapter, A Letter to God. A letter to God elucidates how this faith actually moves the mountains. The letter to God not only talks about faith, but it also talks about the gratitude and the consideration that we need to have in order to be thankful, and being ungrateful actually hurts the people that are quite kind, because it is quite a challenge in itself to be kind and generous. There are things that man can help a man out with, but then there are things that only God can provide us. He is the ultimate giver. He is the ultimate savior. And our faith in Him makes us to carry on with these struggles that we face. Children, it's also said that life is a roller coaster. It's not easy thing. Life tests us. There are trials, there are struggles. And this chapter, it elucidates it beautifully that when we face any challenge, any struggle, we need to have a firm faith in the supreme being that controls the human destinies. But then we need to be patient and definitely thankful, grateful to the people who are kind and generous. Because God makes the people around us a kind of a source so that we come out of our misery, we come out of our problems. You know, sometimes even a kind word that helps us to stay put. Right, children? Now, let me ask you, how do you ask anything from God? For example, you want an easy exam, you want a good score, you want a happy and a prosperous life for your loved ones. How do you ask? How do you talk it out? How do you talk to Almighty? Isn't it there are different ways? Each one of us, we connect to God. Though God can answer. He knows everything. We believe this thing. He knows what is apparent, what is hidden. So He knows our needs. He's the supreme power. He's absolute. He's the supreme giver. He's the absolute giver. So He can answer our vague prayers. But then talking it out, asking Him for our needs, it creates a connect with God. So children, this bond between God and the human, actually it is the faith. A letter to God, the chapter that we are going to discuss in this session, it elucidates the power of innocent faith in God by a man, and how he is able to accomplish his want, his need through it. And yes, one more thing, that this firm faith in God, in the Supreme Being, gives a ray of hope in the darkest times. Children, the story, when we go through the story, we see that it ends in an irony. What's an irony, children? Irony. What is said, it's actually not true. You do not mean what you say. And what should be there, it's not there. So the story ends in the situational irony. We'll discuss it later, how it ends in situational irony. So faith, it can move mountains. We need to have this firm faith, children. The story talks about this innocent man. This innocent man is our protagonist. Who is the protagonist, children? Protagonist is the main character of the story around whom the story revolves. His name is Lencho. And he has this immense faith in God, that God is the supreme savior. He is the only one who provides for us. He is the only one who helps us in our need. The story is written by Gregorio Lopez Fuentes. He is a Mexican writer who was born on 17 November 1895 in Mexico, and he died at the age of 71 on 10 December 1966. Now children, let's talk about the story. So this man, Lencho, he is a farmer, and he lives on the top of a hill where he cultivates corn. This is the time when he needs the downpour for his crop to ripen. Now children, what is a downpour? What do we mean by downpour? It means rain. So he asks God, please send the downpour so that my crop will ripen. And we see that the firmament, what is firmament, children? Sky. It's covered with dark clouds. It's as if his prayer has been answered. And he's so happy about it. He goes out and he wants to feel this downpour, these drops of rain that are falling from sky. He's really happy about it because he's very positive. He's very positive. And he refers to the big drops of rain as 10-cent coins, and the small droplets as 5-cent coins. Children, what is a cent? Cent is the 100th. Children, please try to understand. Cent is the 100th of the value of the basic unit. Okay, so big droplets, he compares them to the 10 cent of the basic value, and then the small droplets to the 5 cents. His field is covered in rain, and he's quite satisfied that my prayers have been answered, and that now my crop will ripen. I will have a good harvest. But suddenly, a mishap happens. Mishap, an unfortunate thing happens. He is not expecting this thing. And why is this unfortunate? Because this is not good for his crop. What happens, children? A strong wind starts blowing, and it brings in with itself the hailstones. Oh my God, children. This continues for 1 hour. Children, can you understand? 1 hour rain, hailstorm. Will there be anything left of the crop, children? No. Everything gets destroyed. Everything of the crop, it gets destroyed. And Lencho, he's very depressed, and he says, if the plague of locusts would have come, it would have left more of the crop that this mishap has left. What is the locust? What are these? These are a type of grasshoppers. But these are migratory. They move in huge groups and they destroy these crops. So rain and the hailstones and the storm, it destroys everything. Everything. And when Lencho sees this, he feels very depressed. He's of this opinion that now for the year, they will have nothing to feed on, and they will die of hunger. So he gets depressed that they will have nothing to eat for the year. But because of this firm faith in God, he gets this ray of hope. He gets this ray of hope. And he says this to his wife, nobody dies of hunger. So what he does? So he believes that God will provide. So in order to reach to God, in order to ask for his needs, what does he do? See the innocence of this man, children. He writes a letter. That's why the title, A Letter to God. He writes a letter to God. And it is Sunday that he writes his first letter to God. And it's his firm faith that the letter will reach to God, he will read it, and he will provide him what he needs. So he writes a letter, and it's as if he's writing a letter to his friend. He describes, he discusses everything in this letter. And he says that, see, I have this crop, I grow corn, and my crop, it only needed rain to ripen. But then this mishap happened and my crop, it was all destroyed. Now give me 100 pesos. Pesos, the basic unit of some countries. This story is set in Latin America. They have this basic unit, pesos. So he asks God for 100 pesos. He asks God for 100 pesos in his letter. Why does he ask for 100 pesos, children? Because he believes that this much is the amount that he will need to resow the crop. Not less than 100, not more than 100. See the sincerity of this man. So he writes in his letter, I need 100 pesos, send me 100 pesos so that I will not die of hunger. And he goes to the post office and he posts the letter. Children, we know when we post a letter, we post it in a mailbox. Then the postman comes, takes it to the post office, and then according to letters are distributed. So he posts the letter, and the postman comes. He picks up the letter and he's quite surprised, shocked. Because throughout his career, he has not seen a single letter with an address to God. So first, when he's shocked, then he begins to laugh. Because he cannot understand this innocence of Lencho, this firm belief of Lencho. And he goes to the post office and shows this letter to his postmaster. Now, postmaster, he is an amiable fellow, children. Amiable, friendly, generous, kind. When he sees the letter, he is again shocked. He laughs, but then his emotions, they have a sudden change. He becomes quite serious. Why does he become serious? Because he wishes to have such a faith in God. So he opens the letter, reads it, and when he reads in the letter that the man needs 100 pesos and he is asking God to send him the 100 pesos, he does not want this man to lose his faith. So what does he decide? He decides to help this man. He collects money as an act of charity from his office employees, from his friends, and he also contributes himself. And when they count this amount, it is only 70 pesos. This postmaster, he's quite satisfied about his act. That see, this man needed 100 pesos. I have collected, with the help of my acquaintances, I have collected 70 pesos for him. So somehow there is a difference of only 30 pesos. So somehow this amount of money will be of some help to this man. And he will not lose his faith. He also decides to sign the letter as God. Because if he would sign the letter as postmaster, the man, Lencho, he would automatically understand that, oh my God, this is not a letter from God. It's some man has actually helped me. And he will maybe lose his faith. And when he will see 70 pesos and the letter signed as God, he'll be happy that my prayers have been answered and my letter has reached God and he has sent me the amount. He's very happy and he gives the letter to the postman. Now, after a week, Lencho comes to post office. So he has written the first letter on Sunday. Now it's after a week, means this is second Sunday that he comes to the post office. And he is sure that God will answer his letter. But when? He is not sure about that. So he comes to the post office after a week to see if God has answered his letter. It is not the doubt, children. He has this firm faith that God will answer his letter. But when, he is not sure about. So he goes to the post office. It's second Sunday, children. So he asks for the letter. This postman comes and he hands over the letter to him. The postmaster is sitting inside his office and he is very curious to see Lencho's reaction. But when Lencho receives the letter from the postman, he is quite calm and composed. Why is he calm and composed? Because he was sure about it that God will answer his letter. And he opens the letter and he takes out the amount and he sees, oh my God, this is only 70 pesos. He gets very angry, children. Why does he get angry? Having the firm faith in God being the supreme savior, he has also this faith that God never makes mistakes. So he has asked for 100 pesos. God would have definitely sent him 100 pesos. He's very angry about it. Very, very angry. He gets up to the window and then asks for pen and paper and starts writing the letter. Finishes the letter and then asks for the stamp. Now he has to fix the stamp. He affixes it with a thud of his fist. This thud of his fist, what does it, stroke of his fist, what does it imply? It implies that he is quite angry about it. Is he angry with God? No, children, he is not angry. In his letter, he writes to God that, see, I had asked for 100 pesos. I know you don't make mistakes, but I have only received 70 pesos. Now send me the remaining 30 pesos, but definitely not through post, but via mail. Mail here is some other, maybe courier service. Why? Because I don't believe these people here in the post office, they are a bunch of crooks. Why does he call them bunch of crooks? These are the people who have actually helped him. He calls them the bunch of crooks because he believes that these are the people who have stolen 30 pesos from the envelope that was sent to him by God, because he is completely unaware that these are the people who have actually collected 70 pesos for him so that he will have his firm faith in God. The postmaster is seeing all this, and Lencho posts the letter and leaves. The postmaster is very curious because he's expecting maybe a vote of thanks. So he gets up, comes out of his office and picks up the letter. When he opens the letter, the story ends, children. The story is an open-ended story. What is an open-ended story, children? Open-ended story is unrestricted, undetermined, allowing the audience to decide the response or reaction. So when we read the story and we come to the end, it arouses different responses in us. Maybe we see that the postmaster, he's quite hurt. Let's see, I was the man, I didn't want him to lose his faith in God. I made all my employees, all my acquaintances to contribute, and I myself contributed in it, and then I collected 70 pesos. I wanted to help this man. I didn't want him to lose his faith in God, and now he's being so ungrateful. He's so inconsiderate. Or maybe this postmaster, after reading the letter, definitely it is there that he would feel hurt, but then he would be again so inspired because of Lencho's faith that he would see the actual, you can say that firm belief of Lencho that God never makes mistakes. So responses would vary with the readers. Now children, what is the actual message of this story? Why has the writer written this story? So the story teaches us two very important things. One, faith can move mountains. Faith is the thing that, yes, you need to have so that we keep going on and on and on in our life, because as I started, life is an oyster, but we cannot crack it on a mattress. And two, we must not expect anything from anybody, even a vote of thanks. Because usually the kind gestures, the generosity, it goes unnoticed and it's not considered. So children, we must change our attitude if we are so that we must be thankful and considerate enough to realize that people are there around us, and it in itself is a challenge to be kind. So if anybody is kind to us, we must notice it, we must be grateful for that. So children, we need to be kind and generous and considerate enough to others, to actually, and plus to be grateful. To be grateful, simultaneously having this firm faith in Almighty. Thank you very much, children. I hope you have understood the chapter.